All right, guys, hi, I'm back. We were briefly interrupted there. I'm back today talking about how to factor a quadratic equation using algebra tiles. So in our last video, we discussed how when I multiply a length and a width using algebra tiles, I create a box that represents the area. So in this case, I'm going to have a quadratic equation, and it represents the area. So I'm going to create a box. And I'm going to use that box to go backwards and get the factors that represent its length and width. All right, so the one we're starting with is x squared plus 6x plus 8. So let's pull those out. X squared, 6x's. All right, and then plus 8. Let's pull those out here. All right. So we have to arrange these to make a box. So I'm going to start with 3 here and 3 here and see how that works. Okay. Filling in my ones. Filling in my ones here. Let's see. A little messy. Let me neaten it up. Well, I'm going to be missing one. So let's rearrange. Let's see. What about if I put that one over here? There. Well, I created my box. Awesome. So now I'm going to go backwards and figure out what factors give me this the length and width of this box. So I'm going to start with the obvious. I'm going to start with the x squared. And x squared is created, I already said, by 2 x's. X for the length and x for the width. So we're going to fill those in. And now it's just going to be a process of dividing. So x goes into, positive x goes into a positive x one time. Positive x goes into a positive x one time. Now I'm going to work this way, guys. 1 goes into 1 one time. I can see 1 goes into 1, 1 goes into 1, 1 goes into 1. And now I'm going to kind of check also. I always like to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes. So I always kind of FOIL it back out. Oops, hold on, let me just arrange this a little neater. So 1 times x is x, 1 times x is x. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. Yep, I checked all my inner. So we're good. So let's see. Now, what are these factors? So I can see along the top, I'm going to have x plus 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my first binomial. And the other factor, the width, is 1x plus 2. All right, let's try that again, guys. All right. The next one we're going to do is x squared plus 5x plus 4. So again, remember, we're working backwards this time. So that represents my area. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna create a box. All right. So I have an x squared. I have 5 x's, and I have 4. All right. So let's create a box. Let's see. I can say I only have 4, so I kind of see where this is going. The more you practice this, the easier it's going to get. See, look, I can see that if I put that there, then I wouldn't have enough squares to fill that spot up. So I'm going to rearrange and go, okay, well, if I put it there, then I have enough squares, and I created a box. So now I can work backwards. So the easiest way for me when I'm working backwards is always to start with my x squared. So an x squared I know is composed of an x times an x. Once I have those, I find it really easy to go because then I just kind of divide. I go, an x goes into an x one time. Once I get one whole side, then it's really easy. So an x goes into a 1, one x goes into itself one time. You can see that's going to happen all the way down the line. So I'm going to do that. And then I always multiply out. I always like to check my work. All right. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. Good. All right. I can see, what I always do is I kind of fill in on the inside, I divide, but then I always like to multiply by the outside or anywhere where I didn't to kind of check my work. All right. So we have our box that we created using the quadratic we started with, x squared plus 5x plus 4. We divided and we got our factors. So let's write those factors down. All right. The length is going to be x plus 1, 2, 3, 4. And the width is going to be x plus 1. All right, we're going to try it one more time. I'm going to end on a slightly more challenging example, but one that I think really drives the point home. All right, so the final one we're going to do today is going to be x squared minus 2x minus 8. So, remember what I said, guys. Always starting out, let's get our components, and we're going to create a box. All right, so I have 2 x's, I have 8 negatives, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, I got a lot of 1s there. I can kind of already see that I'm going to have a problem, aren't I? Got all these extra 1s. All right, when you have something like this, a good place to start is by creating some 0 pairs. So I'm going to kind of put 2 over here. Now remember, my 0 pairs represent 0. So if I add them into here, I'm essentially adding 0 twice. I'm not changing anything here. All right, so I like to group things together, so we're going to do that. I'm going to group all my red ones together, like thus, and now let's see. Remember, I added 0. So I may have changed the picture, but I did not change the equation. I didn't change the math, guys. All right, and it worked. I have created a box. Now let's go backwards and find out our factors. Again, always start with your x squareds. They're the easiest ones to begin with. All right, an x squared is created by an x and an x. Now, let's go. An x goes into itself 1 time. Now, let's go. An x goes into a negative x. Well, 1 time, but a negative 1 time, because a negative goes into a positive goes into a negative, a positive divided by a negative, a negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative. But in this case, a negative 1. All right. Now let's make sure we didn't mess up our math anywhere. A negative times a positive is a negative. Negative times a positive. All right, good. Everything lines up. Now, let's see what factors were created now. On the top, our length is positive x, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, so minus 4. On our width, we have positive x plus 2. So those are the factors of that particular quadratic equation. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much.